Okay, thank you, everybody. This is Solid Waste Special Service District meeting for Wednesday, March 18th. It's 4:30 p.m. I'm Colin Topper, the board chair. If we could just go around, starting with LJ, and introduce ourselves.
I'm LJ Blackburn and I am vice chair.
AJ Throgmorton, board member.
Chris Scoville, district manager.
Mike Dinaway, board member.
Jessica Thacker, program manager.
Billy Houghton, administrative coordinator. Ashley Wareham, treasurer.
Whatever it is.
We're at blank for a second.
Nick?
Nick Lundberg, accounting support.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, do we have any citizens to be heard? Anything else? Nothing? Okay, then moving on to our first action item would be the review and approval of the January 21st, 2026 meeting minutes. Do you have any comments or a motion?
I move to approve the January 21st, 2026 meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, LJ. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, show of hands, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Moving on to B, action item, review and approval of the January and February 2026 financials.
Should I share the screen? Do you think that's helpful for people? Just the financials are so hard to read in the packet available.
I think it's a good idea, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me either way, because I've already looked at them.
Great, let's pull this up and we can share. All right, so we need to approve expenditures for the month of January and February. Payroll account expenses in January were $254,104.69. And in February, just a little higher at $258,159.80. Operations expenses, oh. hello.
Yay.
Yay.
Get you.
One meeting to another.
There's another chair in my office. Do you need me to grab it?
No, I think that-
Okay. It might be easiest to have there. Let's see. So, January operating expenses were lower than in December by quite a bit. December did have some large payments. There was a $120,000 payment to the PTIF fund. And also in December, 32,000 was paid for rentals. And there was about $13,000 less in labor, which put all that together, we get this is $180,000 difference. February operating expenses were lower than January by about 128,000. January also had a few large payouts, so we purchased a new load of poly carts from Schaefer. There was an advance deposit for the purchase of 2 rear loads that had previously been rentals. We also purchased material for the alternative daily cover out at Klondike, and electrical work for the composter. Let's see. So, oh yeah, and so this is about $100,000 less than December, but December had the large capital purchase of the actual machine that did the alternative daily cover. And in February, we did have 190,000 sent to the PTIF fund. Are there questions about the profit and loss or any of the expenses?
I just wanted to ask about the billboard from January. It's like we received $9,600. There had been talk back and forth about that, so I just wanted to clarify what was going on there.
The tenant hadn't been billed, and so it was a 2-year payment
Okay.
catch up. That had happened. It had been talked about in the fall of 2024 and then wasn't really followed up on, and then 2025 came and
Go ahead.
there was discussion about converting it to use for the district for advertising. And that's why we weren't necessarily looking at extending the lease. Since we haven't really had movement on that, we reached out, and so the tenant has paid in full through the end of this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's that.
Cool.
Any other questions? Mary? Okay, we have a motion.
I motion to approve the expenditures for the months of January and February 2026 as presented in the board package.
Thanks,
Second.
Mike. Thanks, LJ. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Staff reports. Let's just start us out.
Okay. Go through real quick. Um. Since I started here, there's been, I guess I would call it an illusion now. I always was about trying to attain this plateau where things would kind of level out and, be normalized. I think, that's, like I had mentioned, that is an illusion. I think the district's kind of set up that it's always kind of needs to be able to change and accommodate the needs of the community. So that was kind of an awakening for me. I know last year we dealt with a lot of like what I call just kind of little chaotic nuisances, and we've been able to kind of work through there. The beginning of last year was kind of the goal was to reach a level of functionality, so then we could start to pay attention on the real issues and try to start pulling some efficiencies. So I'm kind of hoping that that'll be the course of this year moving forward. It's been a year since we rented the property next door. We started last March. Unfortunately, we haven't had a whole lot of movement, so that leaves us, just as a reminder, 2 years left on our option to purchase that place. I don't know if you noticed when you guys walked in here, we don't have a whole lot of room. I think it's a necessity. I'm not sure how we could function, especially given some of the direction the district's gonna have to take. The only other thing I had was just because I left it off the agenda, and I want to keep the board informed. We've been working with a new IT company. It was my plan to kind of present what the whole cost is gonna be. But I am gonna expand over into the offices next door, and that's gonna be roughly about $12,000. And that it does include cameras. We're gonna eventually want to redo all of our cameras. Right now, we have cameras everywhere, but they're on multiple systems and they're really hard to access. So we're gonna kind of modernize. We can use a lot of the infrastructure that's there. But just to kind of let the board know that, I mean, that is gonna be an expense, and next board meeting, I'll kind of lay out what it all is gonna be for all the different facilities and stuff. And that's all I have for my board report. I'm not gonna go back and try to, go back. It's 2 months of stuff. Lots have happened, but I think we have a long enough board meeting that, don't need to go into details unless you guys have any questions or want me to.
Chris, will you remind us what the Sherry's asking price for next door was, or what the appraised price?
So there has not been a formal appraisal, obviously. There was one done previously, and it's roughly about 3.5 million. I think that's was also though done at the peak
Yeah,
in Moab. I mean, right now is honestly a good time to kind of look at that.
Everything's been dropping.
So yeah.
okay.
And I mean, the other thing to consider too is even when we purchased Monument Waste, like this is a long process. So in a sense, we really don't have 2 years. Like if we're gonna move forward with that, we're gonna need to try to get our ducks in a row and start the process, formal appraisal and all that fun stuff.
And has Sherry ever been approached about an owner finance situation?
We haven't really got into the details. I mean, she's a very smart business woman. So I think that might be my take on it. That might be part of the deal. I don't know if she would carry the whole thing. I'm trying to kind of explore other options before I get to it. I also feel like she would probably work with us too, so this isn't necessarily a hard deadline. And I've kind of I keep her appraised, of the situation and stuff when we make movement on anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I got. Any other questions for Chris?
If you say we should start the process soon, what do you mean by it? What are you thinking of as being soon?
At least by the beginning of next year. I would. So that's basically gives me another year to kind of search all of our options. I don't think that we can go at this alone. We definitely gonna wanna get partners involved, and that's kind of gives me a year to try to bring, other people involved. The other thing that's gonna have to happen prior to that is, some different studies too, and those take some time. Traffic studies, UDOT wants a traffic study. We're gonna have to do some, conceptual site plans, obviously. But I would think that would, at the very latest, like we really need to start looking at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, what else for Chris? Okay, thanks, Chris. Who wants to go next?
I don't really have much to report. The only thing I want to let the board know about, if you don't know, the Utah retirement system is transitioning to their new portal. So for the next 2 pay periods, it's completely offline. So I've created a spreadsheet just for tracking contributions that will be made when the new system is live. Wouldn't that be nice if we could have just shut down for a month during the transition?
We done.
Any questions for Lily? Jessica, what do you got?
So myself, Chris, and staff members attended the SWANA RCU Beehive Chapter Symposium in Springdale last week. It was a highly enlightening event. Heard speakers that covered a variety of topics from rural landfills, which was very helpful, or just being rural, and how to deal with waste management, recycling issues, to a representative from Energy Solutions that manages the low-level radiation site in Salt Lake. So it was very helpful in kind of reaffirming ourselves and where the solid waste and recycling industry is right now. So I'm working on finalizing events, and we'll discuss this later in the meeting, for the upcoming spring voucher program and associated Earth Day events. We do have dates finalized. That is April 20th through May 2nd.
Okay.
So if I know people are already in the community are already starting to ask around when the program's going to come up. But we're going to be planning on expanding it to include the high requested cash for cans, mobile document shredding, and then essentially just expanding the spring voucher program and also streamlining it as well.
Give
And
us some
then
dates again.
April 20th through May 2nd. And then tomorrow, I will actually be meeting with a potential feedstock generator for the pilot compost program to provide the nitrogen source, so the greens for our compost program. The people that we had initially identified with the grant application indicated that they no longer wish to do that, or they were working with different entities. So we've been trying to find an appropriate replacement for that, specifically someone who's local, because we've had people suggest City Market, but City Market is not particular, being a large corporation, is not particularly interested in that. Also, I've received the signage and the stickers that'll be part of the commercial feedstock generators. They'll have dedicated bins, and Chris and I will be working with staff to figure out how we want to create that sort of commercial feedstock collection. And as some of you all had received, except for you, Mary, you get one too.
Well, there was one here.
Oh, okay, well, there's an extra.
Oh, I don't think,
Oh, there you go.
Colin.
So I designed these little, I
These are
support
adorable.
composting in the community. They're going to be put on every single thing. I kind of wanted this to be the associated with image with the pilot composting program. So that'll be on all of the signage. That'll be on the carts or containers that are associated with our compost program.
Cool.
And working with Chris and staff to streamline our asbestos related demos and generating standard operating procedures, just so we're working within the guidelines that the state has dictated, and we're doing everything above board and so there's no confusion. And then just working on developing a lot of our other waste diversion programs, such as our used oil collection, waste tire,
universal and electronic waste. There's a lot of working parts. I'm not gonna bore everybody with the 8-page to-do list that I have. So that's just working on a lot of little things here and there.
Busy as always.
What questions do we have for Jessica? What? Nick?
Oh, Nick, you're muted.
That helps. Continuing to work on year-end items for the audit. I've got a number of tasks I need to complete. And get some things uploaded to their portal so they can look at them remotely and hopefully it will streamline the audit process that will happen that first week of May. So yeah, just continuing to work on that stuff related to that. That's kind of all I had at the moment.
Yeah, I got a question, Nick.
Yeah,
So have you heard back from the Schwinn Ridge people? As far as their commitment to a date? I know there was an email. Is that the only correspondence that we've had?
I believe so. Yeah, the last time I talked to Sean, it was that first, they wanted that, I think it was Monday and Tuesday. It's
So May 4th and 5th. Okay.
yeah, at a minimum, if it were to stretch into Wednesday, but the last 2 years they've been pretty much in and out a day and a half, 2 days. So if we can keep that momentum, then I think.
Yeah. So so I guess I'm assuming then that they haven't reached out, so we haven't sent them any information yet, or they haven't sent us, like they usually send us a checklist. Because I guess what I'm getting after is that the county's given us a deadline of April 16th before we could jump ship and fall under their audit. So I'd like to kind of see some movement prior to
Okay.
that, so we're not just, here we come 1st of May and, we're gonna do a repeat of last year.
I haven't seen any emails come through. I had on my calendar to reach out to just legal counsel the district used in 2025 because those letters were the holdup last year.
Right.
But I haven't, yeah, I will make sure to follow up on them.
Any other questions for Nick? Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to board reports. Do we have any board reports rather than going around individually? Nothing? I would just say, please, just as a reminder, with the bill signing, since there are effectively 6 of us right now, if we could all, just sort of focus on, every 3rd cycle and whatever, because I feel like I've been doing it every time for the last couple of years, and it's wearing on me a little bit.
I mean, the checks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just keep it in the back of your minds, just if we're all doing it every 3rd cycle. And we're all-
I'm doing at least that, I think.
I was mistake free on the last iteration that I did.
Hey, we're gonna get you a card for that. Okay, you know what? Practice makes perfect.
That's right.
That's what I've heard. Okay, moving on to presentation, 2025 employee years of service recognitions.
So this is something I thought would be nice to do, going through records. When the district acquired Monument Waste, they honored those service records. So it's looking at a combined service of both the district and Monument Waste. And these are for 2025. I'd like to start doing this annually, but last year, Brandon Burtwell had been with the district for 15 years. And to the best of my knowledge, Greg Tucker has been with the district for at least 15 years. He was an employee of the district, then went to Monument Waste, and then was reabsorbed by the district. So he's stuck with us.
Nice.
So just very grateful to them for their years of service.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, and I did want to say, just some milestones. Brandon did get his CDL last year. Yeah, Brandon got his CDL, and Tucker has just been, invaluable for keeping everything running at the district.
awesome. Everybody needs a good mechanic and that's a long time to twist in a wrench. So
Yeah.
Good for him and good for Brandon. I went to school with him, so that's pretty
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
That's a big deal for Brandon. That's a
Yeah.
really big deal. That's really.
Getting a CDL nowadays is a big deal, so it's super good job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he worked on it.
Good for
I
him.
bet he did. That's really. he
Yeah.
deserves a lot. Yes.
The feds changed the laws, so they make it even more difficult. That's why it's, right? Yeah. Good for him.
Yes, we do have other staff members, but I was kind of looking at the like 5, 10, 15, kind of the
So that's
units
the
of
best
5.
thing.
So,
Greg Nelson.
so he's gonna be in 2026, but he's been a little surprised. That's all I have for that one.
Okay, moving on to an action item, social media admin designations.
I can take this one. It came to our attention. Currently, Jessica is the only staff member that has access to Facebook, and LJ and Kaylin are listed as administrators still. So you would be the only ones to change that. I thought it would be nice to have someone else in-house in case Jessica's out and our phones go out or something to post things. And I'm sure Kaylin would like to not be affiliated
Mhm.
with us. And-
Sure.
Yeah.
I've tried to change that a couple times.
Yeah, I don't have experience with it, but it seems like you and Kaylin would be the only two with access to it.
It's incredibly difficult.
That's
what?
To change.
It's not,
It's incredibly difficult to
it's not
change.
super easy.
No,
It was,
Facebook makes it, I have to do a Google search just to figure out how to figure out where the user permissions are.
Mm,
And you have to go through about 7 clicks.
I remember it was time consuming to figure it out to get Evan off and put me on, so.
If you can figure it out, I'm happy to.
Well, I don't have the permissions. I think it would have to be LJ
Okay.
to do this since you have it.
Okay,
If I could be added, I don't really use Facebook, but I do have a Facebook.
well, maybe I can figure out, actually, I'm taking some time off next week to do yard work and other stuff. So I could come in and maybe we could do it together, and that
That'd
would
be
be,
Okay,
Thanks, LJ.
you're
Mhm.
okay with me being the other contact? And
Okay.
would you like to?
Yeah, is there a limit on how many?
I have no idea. I wouldn't think so.
I got one with 4 people on it. I don't think they limit it. I had to go through that rigmarole recently too. It is a disaster. But I could rekindle what I learned and help out too, maybe.
okay.
Excellent. Okay. Action item G, approve resolution 2026-0301, district legal name clarification.
So as I've been going through and I'm pulling, our documents and dealing with the county and the state. We've had so many name changes, and I know that the process to change the name from Grand County Solid Waste Management Special Service District to Solid Waste Special Service District was done, but we still have a lot of things out there where we're misnamed. And I just thought this would be a quick housekeeping thing that we just create a new resolution, and as we're going through and we're talking to these agencies, we can say, okay, here it is, and we're not pulling up documents from 1998. So this should be just straightforward. It's just a housekeeping thing that gives us a more modern legal ground to kind of stand on to try to get our name changed.
Well, and now that we've switched the website or the emails, right, over, that's a good time to do it. Because
yeah.
it's now clean and not convoluted.
I mean, our name is a whole nother conversation, but we'll put that on. That's not high priority right now.
Do we have a motion?
I was looking for the official wording.
I'm so sorry, I didn't have this. Would it just be,
Well, I'm just, I
Like
move
to-
that we approve resolution, 2026-0301. You got it here? Okay, thank you. Ratifying, and confirming the legal name and status of Solid Waste Special Service District Number 1.
Thanks, LJ. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed?
I was in favor, sorry, I forgot. to
Okay.
mention.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Moving on to H, discussion, possible action. You good? Open enrollment period for City of Moab residents.
So we discussed this, was that January, I think? I've had a couple discussions now with the city manager that as far as they're concerned, the city's okay with this. This is purely motivated by just offering better customer service. And it also kind of frees us up to, because we're gonna be starting some different pilot collection programs in the city. And by having the enrollment happen whenever, it lets us change it. So if people wanted to change over and try our service, even if it's a little bit cheaper on some of these other things we're thinking about, it just gives us the freedom to do that. I did bring up last time, operationally, this isn't optimal, but I don't think the effect is gonna be have a big impact, and I think to provide that better customer service, because it happens all the time. We get upset customers that feel like they're being extorted into having this thing. We even had a board member bring it up at one point. So,
Yep, makes sense to me.
and I don't recall if there what I think the only kind of questions that the board had last time was just to make sure that the city was okay with it, as it can, compares in the ILA.
I like that it helps out those pilot programs too, gives us flexibility in there.
Yeah.
So it helps us in that operation stream.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Do we have a motion?
Make it, I don't know what it is.
I'll make a motion to change the open enrollment period for the City of Moab residents. That be enough?
Good enough?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, AJ. All in favor? Are there any opposed? Hey, discussion item, facility hours.
We're moving to on-season hours. Moab landfill will be opening on Saturdays. And we will also be opening the CRC Monday through Saturday. So we're bringing back Mondays, and then starting next Sunday, we'll also offer Sunday service to commercial.
Facility hours. Okay,
Okay, any questions for Chris?
so when are the new hours? I'm sorry, I was.
Moab, starting this weekend, Moab landfill will open Saturdays. We close Saturdays during the downtime. We're gonna add Mondays back to the CRC, and we'll add Sunday collections service to commercial residents.
Just commercial.
So starting on the Sunday, the 26th, not the Saturday.
No, it'd be this,
22nd.
the 21st.
Saturday. Okay, so-
Moab will be open.
okay,
And the Monday, the 23rd, the CRC will be open.
Okay.
And
And then the
then
22nd is the
The
Sunday
Sunday.
service.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, moving on to J, another discussion item, memorandums of understanding.
So I think Lily put a couple of these in the packet. I wanted to kind of open this up to the board of my thinking of why I was doing this. There's just been some instances with working with other government agencies. We're trying to work with them over a particular project. And not be bound necessarily by our fee schedule, but still trying to be aware that they're public funds. That I've started, my thinking is that entering into an MOU with these over particular projects kind of frees us up to kind of apply common sense to the projects and, be good partners with the other local government agencies. I know, like one of the things I was so Klondike landfill. is closed to the public, and I know at one time, in order to get a franchise agreement, it became, or it had to go in front of the board for a board vote to approve their franchise agreement. So part of the reason why I put that, as kind of a discussion item is to get the board's feedback, whether you guys are okay with me, doing things like this, or whether you would like me to present these MOUs at a board meeting, or if it's more like an informational, or you feel like this needs to be voted on. The only thing that kind of was pushing me in the direction where maybe it needed a vote was because our fee schedules are set by you guys voting on them. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have kind of opened this up, but just that was my thinking. So I don't know what your guys' feedback or.
I guess my initial thought is, and inconsistent with what you just said, I mean, as long as we are having to vote on fee schedules, anything that sort of diverges from that fee schedule, it seems like procedurally might be, and it seems like a really easy, you know, I don't think we're gonna contest this, any of us.
Yeah, is there times when there is a time constraint, like they ask for it the week after we've had our board meeting, so it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Thursday.
and that's.
So I'm wondering if it would be, if we would be okay with it, and in those situations, if we ratified it, just so that we were aware.
I think that would.
So it would be okay for a ratification, that if there's a time sensitiveness, we still should know about it, it should be brought to our attention. But I would hate to keep
Somebody
someone from
waiting.
being able to get
Yeah.
the franchise because we don't have a board meeting for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that was actually my one concern that I was gonna kind of address. The only thing that does is that limits it in case there was something that quick that came up. And we have done things in the past, like when we've had floods, we've just taken material for free for a little bit of time. So in like instances like that, obviously that kind of fell into the board meeting. I don't think we ever came up, I'm pretty sure we informed the board, but I don't think it ever came up to kind of be a vote on. So kind of moving forward, I guess my takeaway is if we're deviating from the fee schedule and we're entering in these MOUs, then we'll kind of present them in kind of, quick as possible, nice little package thing.
I think that's the safest, yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
And we have quite a number of them, but I guess. I mean, it doesn't have an action item, but maybe next boarding meeting we can ratify them.
Yeah.
A couple of them real quick, the city. Rim to Rim, T-Room, Rubicon, the fire department, they started doing a cleanup behind the hospital. That proved to be a little bit of a administrative mess up. Because operations had to move, but Lily got it figured out, thank you, Lily. But apparently they're gonna be doing that throughout the valley, so that's gonna be ongoing for a little bit, and what I did there is if they had clean fill, I would give them at a residential rate rather than the commercial rate. So it's things like that.
Yeah.
Like that I would be doing. Another one is with the sheriff's department and the Southeastern Utah Health Department. So there's a whole bunch of abandoned trailers scattered throughout the desert. The sheriff's department or the health department would call Nations would go pick them up. And then Nations would have to bring them to us. They weren't getting paid for the picking up of the trailer, and they weren't getting compensated because they were paying us to dispose of the trailers.
Yeah.
So the initial proposal for the MOU is that's really a trailer, doesn't contain a whole lot. So like the part that the district will play is we'll just take that stuff as long as they can get it out to Klondike. So that was just an example of
Yeah.
another one.
And I think what we're saying is, in agreement with you, Chris, is we want you to be able to be flexible and move and accept these things and accommodate these different situations. And then if it just comes to us, then we cover your.
Yeah, well, and that's where it is. I mean, obviously with the fee schedule, the other one was the chronic wasting disease.
Yeah.
And that one we kind of been doing for a while, but we'll throw that in there and have you guys ratify that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Okay, any more questions on that?
I have a couple of questions. So I'm assuming that with these campers or abandoned trailers, that there is some sort of testing that's done before it comes to us.
We're gonna make assumptions. That's why they're going to Klondike.
Okay.
And then with the power that the health department has, is they can make mandates that will help expedite situations like that. So the only I guess consideration would be like a friable asbestos, but I haven't ever run across a friable asbestos in a camp trailer.
Okay.
And technically, if you read the rules of the asbestos rules, I had a 2-hour conversation with Department of or the Division of Air Quality. And he sent me lots of exciting reading to do.
Bedtime reading.
Yeah, but if it's on, if it's movable and it's on an axle, it doesn't need to be tested.
Okay,
So,
okay, good to know. Good to know.
but I a lot of times I insist on it, you know, depending on kind of the state and if people have lived in there, it's a little bit of a gray area, but we want to protect ourselves from, given that our permits are kind of our working document, like Moab can't take it.
Right,
Klondike can, so.
right, yeah. And then the other question I had is, I noticed that with the Division of Wildlife, that they would pay us per year. I was wondering if there was a number limit as to like, if it were to exceed a certain number of carcasses, would that increase the price or?
So the payment was so they could have access,
Okay, just to ask.
just to
Okay.
have access, kind of like the same that we do with animal control. They have access and they just
Dump it. Mhm.
you know, and we just ask them to try to get it in the trailer.
Right,
There was no consideration on the numbers. It was just more of a community service.
Okay.
Obviously, if we're getting a whole bunch, I mean, I think that's, we'll have to deal with that when it happens.
right, okay. That was
I
it.
mean, that's a valid point. Like all of a sudden, if we're bringing herds of deer down there and we're taking them for free, that's probably a different type of situation.
Hey, any other questions for Chris?
And I don't know, maybe we can stipulate that because we haven't signed that one. Or have we signed that one yet? No, we haven't signed that one yet. So we might be able to, you know, in the case of, you know, whatever, 50 or more deer at a time, you know, there'll be use a creed.
Okay, moving on to K, Moab Solutions MOU.
This was just a clarification. That was when my attempt to try to be at the meeting in January. I think, Mike, you had mentioned something to the effect of there was some left over from last year's MOU with Moab Solutions. And I wanted to make sure that there wasn't an assumption that that balance was going to carry over. That this was actually a new MOU, like we came in way under budget, but I think it's cleaner if we just ended that one and then we started a new one for this year. And I think it was 6 months, it was a $10,000 cap. So my thinking was, you know, a year, a $20,000 cap. And Kim has been great with, you know, keeping it way under budget. She understands, you know, anyways, she understands the, you know, the need to kind of keep this under budget because recycling is an expense to us right now, so. But I just, I wanted to clarify that. That was kind of an afterthought and January was not a pleasant time.
Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to old business. First one is possible action item, board compensation, residential curbside collection service.
Let me share. the screen. So you've seen this before. Oh. I thought I was on the right page. Here we are. So per, I believe it's Utah statute for how boards work. The board determines the compensation of the board. It's been discussed, this solid waste board requires time. So we were looking at, if for a 7-seat board, if the city council liaison and the Grand County Commission liaison were not included, just 5 seats, were excluded. I calculated the rate at one rural location if we ever did have like a Castle Valley, board member, and then 4 other Grand County residents, would come to a total of $254 a month, just over $3,000 a year. This would cost the district. But at current board composition and current board, like what you guys have for service, it would only be $131 a month. So it's not a huge impact to revenue, looking at that. But again, it is your decision if this wanted to be offered. It could also be optional, that if you're a board member, you could, rather than the city or county board members, but of the other 5 seats, you could choose to participate. And not everyone would. Some people live in HOAs and the HOA covers it, so that wouldn't be an option either. But just some new numbers to think about.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that, we have a board compensation of residential curbside collection services for the 5 board members that are not. Elena die. Oh.
I don't know if that one's better.
I can't see it.
Ashley's got you.
Oh. Motion to compensate non-elected members of the solid waste special service district number 1 board by providing residential curbside collection services up to 1, a 96-gallon trash cart service weekly, and 1 96-gallon recycle cart service every other week.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
I'll second.
Second from LJ. Thank you. All in favor? Are there any opposed? Nope. Okay, another.
I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah. Another discussion, possible action item, board composition.
This kind of goes back to previous discussions about bringing on board the Southeastern Utah Health Department as a member of the board, whether voting or advisory. Obviously with the kind of the current makeup, I think it might make more sense to be voting. But that's kind of up to what you guys, I just think that this would be a powerful tool in everything that we're trying to do. Like my vision is to be able to take everything every day. We have to turn people away from, sometimes it's not the type, sometimes it's the quantity. And just with the authority and the lines of communication that the health department has with up north with the state, where I get stalled out, they could perhaps help out there. And plus we do a lot of the similar things and work together. I think it would just be a positive addition to the board.
What I would say to it, I absolutely see the benefit. I think it's a great idea. I would run it by the county attorney first
Well,
because.
they would have to, we would have to amend our bylaws.
Right.
And they would have to.
And so on the trail mix committee, we went through a similar process and we had to make, and it included the health department and then a lot of the land managers, but we had to remove them from as members, voting members, and just have them defined as I believe stakeholders.
Okay,
Because there was some confusion, and also there's I think an opinion that locks up a space from a community member.
sure.
And so just I think it's a great idea, and there is a way around it if it can't be, a member.
So I'm curious, so they came on board as a stakeholder, like given our makeup, where we have an even number right now. is there any consideration like breaking ties type things, or they're just a purely advisory? Do you know how that was set up?
No, that would have to be a question for.
Okay,
I think it could be written where they could be a voting member if it isn't directly tied to their organization. Something. You know,
And if we were low in members, board members like we are now, if we had an open position and it wasn't tied to anything that they had an interest in.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's absolutely worth pursuing. It would be really nice to have them.
yeah, no, that's a good starting point. Oh, in fact, I got a whole bunch of stuff to go to the county attorney, so I'll throw it on the list.
Okay. What else? Chris, on that? Anything? Okay, moving on to C, discussion item, financial assurance.
Okay, so, I know Colin's aware, I'm not sure what other board members are aware. So 2026, both of our landfills have gone through a permit renewal process. During that process, we have to reevaluate our construction cost for closure, post-closure. The last time this was done was 2014. And the numbers that we've been, and there was a decision to not continue to feed the financial assurance, the PTI. It's held in a PTI restricted fund. We stopped funding it, I think, right around the time, and you might know a little bit better, LJ, but it was right before I think we purchased Monument Waste to get our.
It was before I came on board.
Oh, was it that far back?
Yeah,
Okay.
we weren't funding it when I came on board.
Anyways, we have not been funding it. I know, my involvement with it is I was just taking the number that was applied. So every year, so you have your construction estimates for closure and post-closure. And then every year after that, you have to apply an inflation factor that's given out by the Utah Department of Environmental Quality. And then at 5-year increments, you're supposed to review those construction estimates. And then you have to do new estimates again in 10 years. So the estimates need to happen every 10 years with 5-year review periods. Let's see, so. So together with both landfills, we are $2,238,853.28 short or underfunded. In these accounts. About 1.6 million for Klondike and about 600,000 for Moab. I've been in discussions starting last year, keeping the city and the county appraised. Now, I've had this suspicion for a little while, but just in the kind of spirit of trying to rip off the band-aids and try to get everything up to date, and then going through the financial assurance, it was determined that, yeah, those suspicions were true. So where we're at right now is basically I've let the state know. The state has given me a little bit of time to try to put together a proposal on how to try to get caught back up. And that's, I mean, given everything we have going on, it's not an optimal situation. My proposal is gonna be, so initially, when somebody starts a landfill, they give you 10 years to meet the requirements for this financial assurance. So basically, I'm going to, and it has to be approved by the director of the UDEQ, not the head of the Division of Solid Waste and Radiation Control. So this has to be approved by the head guy at UDEQ. So my proposal is to ask for another 10 years to try to be, to get that caught up. What that comes down to is basically $224,000 a year, about $19,000 a month. We were able to come down a little bit, Lily, since I've talked to you. So I'm actively working with the engineers and trying to trim this down as low as we can. Now, we also don't want to undercut because we don't want to come to where we get closure. We want those funds there. My vision is that we would do it internally and we'll have plenty of money and hopefully some left over, but the state doesn't, they don't consider that. They need to know that those funds are there. In my conversations with both the city and the county, in order to help kind of fortify this with the state, I'm gonna ask them that they both provide kind of a letter of reassurance that they support this. So what happens if we go under, the burden falls on to the city and the county, and that gets split in half between them.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
Sorry,
please.
Mike.
No, please. This is,
Okay.
this is why we changed the order, because this, I don't know, how much you guys want to get into this. It's something I've been doing for a long time.
I know it's been a big stressor for you, so now that you know the numbers, at least we can move forward past that. You're $19,000 a month and you want to extend it for 10 years. I'm worried that we're gonna hit another inflation and think we need to probably start socking more away, especially if you ask for 10 more years. By the time we get caught up to our, I think you said 2.2 million, it's really gonna be more. So I
Right.
think we should.
Well, and what happens is we adjust that yearly.
Okay,
So that payment, so that's where that inflation factor, so the state government issues an inflation factor for that reason.
perfect.
And so, and then they take all the numbers, from the previous, years, and that's how they figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already, I heard you say that, but I didn't know if that was already included in your calculation.
Yeah, cause we don't wanna, struggle to fix it and then in 10 years, like.
Still be
faced with-
behind.
Faced with again, okay, we need another 10 years.
Yeah. Okay, you're on it. Good. That was my main concern. Obviously, we gotta get this taken care of and it's gonna sting, but
Does it earn interest?
It does, it earns pretty good interest, actually.
Okay.
And that's part of, I think it was, I don't think, cause we've added a little bit because of the inflation factor over the years. I know we stopped funding it, but we would still add a little bit. And then we issue letters to the city and county of what that new balance is so that they're aware of what that is. But because when the interest rates, went up, we actually didn't have to add any because the interest rates had, kind of overfunded it.
And so when you presented this before, I brought up last year sometime, there was the whole 50-50 from the county and the city, but we are responsible for
Yes.
having the full payment in there, and then if we don't have enough, we're defunct then, because the liability is 50-50 with the city.
Yeah.
This will also increase what they need to put in as well.
Well, and they don't necessarily, so I had a meeting with Brian Spears, Brant something, who's part of the financial, like he deals with the closure things. And I think the only reason so what the financial assurance, that backup goes, and when you fill out your reports, you list that, is it eases the terms. So that's why I think it's important that they send us these letters, because they're basically like almost co-signing on a loan. They're not responsible for paying for the loan, and even the state didn't think that they even needed to hold it in a special fund. Actually, my understanding is they were supposed to.
That's what my understanding.
But the state said, no, this was just kind of like a co-signer.
Okay.
But the city and the county aren't contributing any money,
No.
it's just us.
Now, as I was going through all the documents, I did find a document that says that the county and the city will split half of the cost of the closure. But
If we go
that's,
defunct, right?
no,
No.
but that's a different conversation. So, and that'll be, I want to get these letters for them first, because this goes back to documents, resolutions. I think that one was from 2003, or 2004. I mean, I want to get the state, so the state's okay with our direction, and then I'll bring up these documents and we can kind of redo this. And the way that I'm kind of presenting this is worst case scenario. There are definitely things, in fact, this number was probably closer to 3.5 million last year when I first started looking at this. We were able to apply better what they call RS means to it. I've been able to work with the engineers and dial in because they were taking like a bigger overlook. So I was kind of able to dial in certain piles that were actually there for our closure. So like I've done Moab where most of the material's already there. So that dropped it pretty significantly. That's what those giant berms that are sitting around there. It's not just to play nice with our neighbors, although that's a good benefit for it. But that's our closure material. So it's already in place, and that's a huge cost. The other thing is I've going to limit the area that we're going to permit at Klondike, which will then reduce the financial assurance need there. And I will actually start this year, start closing parts of the Moab landfill, which will also lessen it. So this is worst case scenario, but we have to plan for worst case scenario. But I mean, I think I can dial this down pretty well, because as later in the agenda, we have some big needs, and really these payments are like the needs we made. And if we look at them both, like it puts us right back where we were a couple years ago, where everything is going to be super tight, and I don't necessarily want to go back there.
Going back to your question or inquiry about the interest rate, it currently last month it's at 3.85%. So that's what those balances are earning.
Oh, in the PTIF.
Correct.
I guess that was the one benefit when your mortgage interest rate was really high. We were earning a lot of it.
It was 5% or so.
I think I remember seeing that document, which is why I kept saying that I thought that they had to pay half, because I remember seeing something to do with closing the city.
And actually, and I think that when I first approached Michael Black with the city, that's what he thought, that we were only on the hook, or they were only on the hook for Moab and not Klondike. And I think that was the resolution that he was reading too. So, and that'll be big, but like I said, that's kind of different. That means once we get to closure and there's actually costs associated, then we can only recoup what those costs are.
Mhm.
And if we're doing it in-house, then I mean, that's gonna be a whole different story, so. But it's definitely something to consider, as we're going forward. Basically, what that would do is if we're fully funded there and they actually pay half, that just means that we have a nice nest egg sitting there.
Chris.
So, well, hold on a second. So, in running these numbers, and I just ran, in fact, I just got sent the numbers an hour before this meeting from the survey company, because I was up there and I met them when they were surveying it. We are so busy. There might be a possibility that I might have to close Moab this year.
What?
That means we need to fast track neighbor property.
Well, but what that does is if I have to close Moab, that means I don't have 10 years to pay
Right.
that off. So that has to be worked into the proposal with the state, and we have to. So, and this is why I'm trying to look at a worst case scenario. There's some things I can do, but there's other considerations that are coming. Now, what I would do is I would close it to the public. We would use it as an internal thing so that it doesn't kick in the closure process with the state, and we could drag it out as long as we would need to. But which he said, like, that's not really realistic. Like, I mean, we can't even do here. And I mean, the amount of trucks and in this last few weeks, I mean, we have been hammered up there. It's insane the amount of material that's running up there right now.
We're not prepared to close that
No,
No, we're
and
not
to
even.
the public.
I mean, and it's, I don't know if it's karma or what, but this is something that I've been screaming about since I first started here and had to go up there because the way that Moab was being operated at the time, they only had a couple of years left. So we got, and we did all this, we invested lots of time and resources and to try to get it, to last longer. But it was never meant to be like, okay, now the problem's solved, we don't have to deal with it. That was, it just to buy us more time. And we kept telling, I mean, it was, what is that, 3 years ago, we went in front of the county and was like, hey, red flags, this is gonna happen. We need to, you know, prepare for it. And here we are, if we continue with the volumes at now,
What's causing the volumes to increase? So
it's all the construction's that's going on and it's big, heavy construction too. So it's not like,
Um. Well, that's gonna have such a domino effect. As far as what we're gonna do about purchasing that land, what we're gonna.
yeah, like, and it does all tie together. And it's the reason why I got a couple pieces of equipment on here that I'm, you know, gonna ask the board to approve. And we'll get into those as we go. I tried to line these out because they kind of will tell their own story without trying to put like horrible stuff on the agenda quite yet, because I feel it's like our duty to try to resolve this before we go out and scream that the sky is falling. But it's like and I had mentioned this sometime last year is, you know, when I kept bringing this up but we've passed that point of optimal, like where we could have like done everything and this would have been best case scenario. So now we're just, the longer we wait, it's worst case scenario. And we're gonna have to start trying to rush things and we're gonna not have time to be able to set up things optimally. And we'll probably have to set things up only to tear them down because we didn't plan correctly.
I feel like screaming the sky is falling just on the stuff that I know from the construction side, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's
If you put
huge.
that down and put everybody going to Klondike, your road can't handle it out there. Like there's so many.
And we're busy
Sure you
during,
see it, but I'm like,
yeah, we're busy during Jeep Safari and you got a line of trucks trying to make a left-hand turn across that.
big trucks and your
Well,
road's
this
not wide
is-
enough, it'll blow out.
Yeah, and it's honestly for,
It's scary.
It is a scary. I've seen a truck wreck. It got put on my insurance for it out there years ago.
we had, they did a big road project out there and I took a bunch of the shoulder millings. And they had 22 trucks running out there for a couple weeks and it was a lot. Cause the roads aren't wide enough for 2 full-size trucks and the truck drivers are, you know, they're trying to they're trying to get it done and because their bosses are yelling at them. So, I mean, it's definitely, it's here. It's not that it's coming. It's here now.
Oh, boy.
Do you want to talk about the compactor?
Yeah, I think that's, all the things. I mean, I got some numbers and I got some breakdown, but I didn't know how much you guys really wanted to get into the details of the financial assurance. But if you guys are okay, with where we're at, the next step there is to, get the proposal. I'll definitely send that out. I don't think I can wait until the next board meeting, but I'll make sure that I send it out to everyone here. The only holdup that might be is trying to get the financial assurances from the city and the county. I had a meeting with the city manager today and it was like, oh yeah, that sounds okay. Let me send it to my lawyer. I don't know what time frame that means, but I did ask him that like, needs to be expedited if at all possible.
So we're gonna need to go through our lawyer?
Yes.
First, too?
Yeah, and I've had a couple of things that I've been trying to run through there and I have had no response from them. And they were a couple of, actually,
Everybody gives them 2 weeks. And not just,
actually, I've already talk to the county attorney. I forgot that about this Southeastern Health Department,
You
and
did,
if there
okay.
was any, anything, before I go and bring it to the county commission, in the bylaws, I wanted to get an update. It's been so long since I sent that off and I haven't, so I'll have to follow that up. And there was another item on there that's been so long, I can't remember.
So how long ago did you send it on?
You can find it.
Well, you could just send it to me, because if it's
Did
been
I
2
CC
weeks,
you on that?
I would
think
feel
you did.
comfortable bugging him.
Okay.
But he's real. And I get it, he's very much, you can't give me something and expect me to have it done before 2 weeks. But if it's been over 2 weeks, I feel comfortable bugging him.
Thanks, Mary.
Chris,
I got, yes.
Chris, on that 2.2 million that you broke down essentially, or estimated 1.6 for Klondike and 0.6 for Moab landfill, is that on top of the existing funds, or is that the total estimate?
That's how much we're short.
Oh, it's short, okay.
So that, yeah,
Just for what it's worth, you emailed Mr. Stocks in February on, I believe, the 3rd, and he responded. That his office would research into the board, but I haven't been CC'd on any response that he may have sent.
and I haven't had any response. I got a call from Christine
Okay.
Hoffine that they were looking into it, but it was more about trying to get
Right, yeah.
our zoning squared away, because the planning and zoning is doing something, and she thought it would be very beneficial if we jump in that during their, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, so it's definitely been 2 weeks, it's February 3rd.
So this is about the board, or are we talking about, as you said? you
What
knew
else
nothing
did
about it.
I list? If you have the CC, what was the other topic I sent to?
Yeah, so it's board representation and then financial assurance for closure and post-closure obligations, and he said to refer you to the budget committee for that. Was his response.
So, yeah. That's good. At least I have a little bit like, hey, I sent it to you in February, so maybe it's 2 weeks won't count, because he's already been given.
Yeah, so maybe before I bug him, just to
Oh, yeah.
email them and say, we sent you this in February, and I recognize, we recognize that you're really swamped. But this is really this is a very timely thing. We need to make a decision sooner than later.
Do you want me to forward you this so it's at the top of your email?
Sure, yeah, that would be great, absolutely.
And then let me know if that doesn't get a response.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is, since I just got the data from the survey, I've got, before I can actually put it, because I want to have the actual numbers, can set a baseline with the state. Is I'm waiting until the engineers are able to crunch the numbers out of CAD and put them into their formulas. So then I'll have like actual, because it's more than financial assurance that I'm trying to deal with. It's also end of life and all that other fun stuff. So the actual numbers, I'm hoping the engineer, she's waiting for him. So she said it would probably take her less than a week. So, but I'll reach out just to, because I think the other thing is they're gonna want to know what my proposal is and what they're financially assuring them, I'm sure.
Thanks, Chris. Compactor, whenever you're ready.
So obviously, we've been talking about a compactor since last year, since we paid an insane amount of money for our warranty. So this was something that was coming. And this kind of ties right into the financial assurance talk. So obviously, after I just got done talking about the financial assurance, this is not the optimal time to say, hey, we need a $1.2 million compactor. And we've, over the last little while, we've engaged CAT, we've engaged BOMAG, we've engaged TANA, and there was another one, and it didn't last too long, Aljon, I think. I've sent people on site to try it out. I've talked to owners of landfills. The one that comes back, or the top two, are basically CAT and Tana, which is done by Humdinger Equipment. Cat is 6 to 8 months is what they say is their build time, so they would have to build me one. And they said that about our D7 dozer, and it took almost 3 years. Tana has one available and could have it here in 2 weeks, which is salesman talk, so month to 2 months.
Is this a replacement for the Bomag or
Well,
addition?
So it will eventually be a placement.
But this is for Moab.
So my thinking is this would go to Moab. Right now, the way we've been running trash ever since I've started here is with a dozer without a trash package on it, and we brought that up in the last little bit of repairs. And just a fun fact, that same repairs that we did last time on it, we have to do again because it's all full of stuff. So we're gonna have to get somebody in there to pull all the radiators out and give it a good clean. And now needs its tracks flipped. So we're looking $50,000 to $60,000 gonna have to be invested into this dozer. So my thinking is not to do any of that. Purchase a compactor, throw a compactor up there. Given their compaction ratio, so we don't get a whole lot of compaction with the dozer. There's a little bit just from its weight, but just the way the tracks and stuff are, it's built to have
12 pounds per square foot.
yes, thank you. So a compactor, and this is now Tana, and even doing all my research is actually has a greater compaction rate than the Cat does. But just given industry standard of compaction versus no compaction, it's about 30% increase. So if I put that compaction into the end of life, these numbers are based upon my 2020, beginning of 2025 numbers. We were looking at, we had about 3 years left. With that 30%, that would give us 5 years left. So that basically investing in the compactor expands the life expectancy of a landfill without having to close it. Now, these calculations were based on volumes and numbers prior to the big rush that we've had this year. This year, I'm not sure, and there's probably a conversation that could be had. We've almost waited too long, so is it worth it? But the thinking is that it would then go from there out to Klondike and replace that Klondike. Tana was able to match the warranty that Cat does, so it would be a seven year supreme warranty, whatever. So most things, although when it comes down to it, most things don't really mean most things, but it's the best warranty that they offer. The other thing to consider is it's not just the life expectancy increase that putting a piece of machine up there that's designed to do that. It's also the density of the airspace that we have left, so we can get more money per square or per cubic yard than we're getting now. So not only does it's going to extend the life, but it gives us more money for that. And the increased density itself is coming in at somewhere close to $500,000 to $1 million. So by placing that machine there, if there's enough time left, now that has to be considered, if there's enough material that can get in there and we can get that 30% compaction rate, it will pay for itself.
Over what time period?
Over between that 5-year period. That doesn't take in consideration cash flow. Like these are conceptual numbers, and it's not like we get a check for $1 million into that. But it will allow for that to happen over time. That also has some other considerations, like we would have to make sure we're not putting any concrete into the working phase. We'll have to go back. So let me step back a little bit. So the last administrator here changed our policy because previously we were trying to keep as much out of the landfill up there as possible. The last administrator made sure that we were sending everything up there. If it could go there, it needed to go there. So that increased the life. So that's something else that I'm gonna change too, is immediately I'm gonna have a meeting with everyone. Unfortunately, it took us a year to get the operators to understand to take everything up there. Now I'm gonna be like, hey, scratch that. Now, you know, we only want to take the things up there so we can keep it open for customers and the things that we can't necessarily handle here.
Yeah.
The other thing we were doing is I was segregating all the concrete, because my plan was, I mean, that's a valuable commodity one if you can crush it. And the other thing is that this is gonna work here, this is all the material that we're gonna need for fill to be able to access this back vacant lot back here, so that we don't have to purchase it and, you know, haul it in. Sorry, I kind of lost myself there. Did somebody have questions? Am I just down, am I down the rabbit hole?
Okay, I love cat, so let's go back to that one. 3 years to build your dozer. What did you say that? Did you say 3 years? Was that during COVID? I'm just super curious.
No, the,
When we did what?
When they built your dozer,
Oh, yes, it was during COVID.
okay,
Yes,
I wanna point that out.
yes.
I didn't know, but I wanted to throw it out.
Yes,
there.
that was
That's
during COVID. There was, everything was shut down. Cat, not Wheeler, which is our local distributor, but Cat had stopped production going into it. And then what happened is there was a construction boom during COVID.
Right.
And they bought everything. Or you couldn't get a skid steer, you couldn't get a dozer, so yes. But
Okay.
putting into context, sorry, I
Okay, so
don't wanna
that-
bag on Cat too much. but
No, I
thanks for-
understand. I just wanted to dig into that one a little bit. Go ahead. If you got something, I wanted to.
With the compaction of the Moab landfill, if we do buy the new piece of equipment, you would be able to do a better compaction on some of the older surfaces, or it would just be the new working?
Well, that was actually, brought up to me. I don't know how much I would want to do that. But there is an opportunity to go back and mine the old stuff and recompact it.
Mine it, like take the concrete out and stuff, is that what you mean by mining?
To dig it back up.
Okay.
Are we talking about Moab landfill or
Yeah.
Klondike?
Moab landfill. It had been brought to me, to my attention that could be a possibility, and other landfills have done it when they've had pieces of equipment that weren't optimal or broke down. They just put it in place and then they go back and redig it up.
Sounds expensive, like labor wise to. Fuel's outrageous right now, like,
Well, yeah,
anyway.
so. And that's definitely a possibility. And the other thing is I think my personal take is if I were to do that, I would only go back the lift that we just started, the one we're half across. I don't think I would want to go down.
And then when you were in the rabbit hole, were you starting to say that we were gonna start taking less stuff at Moab landfill? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so part of like trying to do everything that we can to extend the life of Moab, that we'll go back to prior, where I won't be putting concrete in the working phase. I put it off to the side.
Right.
If worst case scenario, when we can't get rid of it, it's basically building our side slope, so it's putting the boundary of where our landfill will go. But what concrete does, I mean, if you got a couple big pieces of concrete, it only, it bridges off that concrete, it won't compact anything.
Got it.
And then there's other things that right now we send up there because it's a little bit more difficult to handle at the transfer station. And as long as it doesn't have MSW, we've been pushing everything to Moab. I'm gonna change that. We're gonna try to take more here.
Oh, I see. So like a big pile of yard waste comes in, you would put up in Moab landfill, is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, yard waste, I would still go there because that doesn't go into the working phase, but like a remodel. That doesn't have a lot of concrete and stuff. We can take it here. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult because we gotta try to get it in the truck without damaging the truck and stuff, so it's easier just to take it up there and dump it, but we can take it here, and we're gonna need to figure out how to take that stuff, because
Right.
everything I said, there's still a point where Moab closes, and it's still gonna have to go somewhere.
Got it.
On the TANA equipment, how would the warranty work? Where's their nearest facility, or do they subcontract out the warranty work?
Good question.
So what they do, because, the same thing that I worried about with the BOMAG, I would worry about the TANA.
Right,
But they built the TANA so that it has a Cummins engine in it, all parts are accessible, and they actually send a shipping container with all their identified wear parts, on premise.
oh,
And then they contract out, they've located a dealership in Junction. Gosh, I always forget their name, they sell, it's a Lost River or something.
Three Rivers.
Three
or
River.
Four Rivers.
Something River, and then RDO out of Salt Lake. But it's also something where they self-warranty. So if we can get the work done, in fact, I talked to, it's up in Bountiful, North Salt Lake. They have a TANA and they're gonna get another one. And the one guy says he can just call the people on the phone, and a lot of times they can just walk them through, hey, it's this part, put it on there. So, I mean, there's still a little bit, but it's a lot less than the BOMAG, I guess. That's kind of in retrospect, because BOMAG apparently had Komatsu and they're all over the place, but that hasn't worked out very well.
So are they comparable machines, like they can impact the same, vibrate down the same depth and?
Everything that I've, in fact, I sent, our main operator, our lead operator, and our facility supervisor up on site. And they basically told me that the salesman up there didn't even have to interact. They just let the manager of the landfill up there, and he's actually head of the Washington, or the Wyoming Swannon division. So he's got a pretty good landfill up there. He's got a good reputation and he praises it, and the numbers come in that TANA compacts better than a CAT. BOMAG actually compacts better than a CAT. I love the BOMAG machine, actually. I just won't get another one until they can let me deal with Junction and not Salt Lake.
Something to be said about customer service, because you can buy a brand new machine and it will still throw codes at you, and the codes will shut you down now.
Yeah,
Limp mode is a real deal.
yeah, well, and I mean, CAT has been a good partner with us for a lot of years, ever since I started working with here, but I have a 980 out of Klondike. They must have been out a dozen times, and they're just throwing parts at it, and we're probably into it another $20,000, and it's still having the same issue. So, not having all of our eggs in one basket is something that I'm definitely gonna start doing. I'm trying to get another couple of pieces of equipment that aren't serviced by CAT.
That's a good idea.
So this field, the compactor, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, given the urgency, right? So are we trying to do a motion today for the?
Well,
purpose?
let me,
Is a possible item?
yeah, that was the good take. Let me throw in a couple of the bad things.
Throw some wrenches in there.
So right now, Lily ran all of our assets, and how much we're making payments. But we did include, AMCS and, Samsara, our two, software programs. Even though they're not a tangible asset, they're still kind of part of operations that we're making payments on. So we're making payments annually of $469,868, $470,000 a year. If we threw the financial assurance catch up on there and the compactor, that puts us about $840,000 a year in payments. So that's the downside to all this, is I don't think that we can necessarily cover that and still keep with the route because I really like the route that we've been going. I think we have almost 2 years of bond payments put in there. We're putting money away for machines. I think that has to happen because regardless, we could have the best running systems, stuff is gonna happen. And we're gonna have the bond payments to 2038.
Are any things falling off that list soon?
Ish.
Yeah.
You consider soon.
Yeah.
And we can get kind of the numbers, I guess, what I was asking for the board is, so the district has put a lot of time and money into like researching and trying to figure out what this is. I know like Tana, like they're kind of at a stopping point too, like, okay, we've done our sales pitch and stuff. And I'm not sure exactly how to word this for a motion. But I guess what I would be asking for the board is kind of approve the purchase of this compactor upon final approval. My plan is to get pretty creative, instead of going to like a finance company or have, like Cat Financial. Tana has their own financial company, RDO will finance it, and they gave us basically the same terms, 10-year terms. It's $143,000 a year. I have somewhere what that breaks out to be
Okay, sorry.
like $12,000 a month roughly.
Yeah, basically.
I was gonna go to a more traditional thing like Zions Bank and try to finance this and perhaps roll some of the other stuff into it so we can kind of try to get our payments lowered on a few of the different items.
What about Mountain America?
Mountain America, yeah, I was thinking about just doing an RFP for financial institutions to actually kind of bid on this process. But in order to kind of do that, I need to have, like, they're not gonna, interact with me unless I kind of have assurance that, okay, if we can work this out, I'm not gonna go to the board and they've wasted all this time and then the board denies it. So I don't know, I haven't really attempted to make, and I don't know if this is kind of a legit ask. But that was my intent, is I kind of need a little bit more authority from you guys, and then I can get creative on how to make this work. And that by then I'll have more numbers as far as like actual numbers up at Moab, because like if I get these numbers from Moab and there isn't enough time to have any increased density or anything, there's no sense in trying to get the compactor right now to throw up there. We're gonna have to look at alternative options. One of which would be closing at the end of this season.
So we don't have time for you to do all that stuff and then us to vote on it in a month, probably.
Well, it's just, I'm not gonna be able to motivate the people that I need to be motivated.
Right.
Unless I get
Board approval that.
board
he has to do.
approval that I have the authority to do it. And I mean, I guess this is a little bit of a trust issue that, I wouldn't enter into anything if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have, if I was just after it, I wouldn't bring up all the horrible numbers, but my goal is to have success here. But I do feel like I need that authority in order to not have them guys, because LJ probably knows a little bit, this goes on all the time. Governments will drag out these people for a long time and then nothing kind of comes through of it. So they kind of have a tendency to go to a little bit, and then that's as far as I can go. But like, I'm not gonna be able to go to Zions Bank and have them, or even go out for an RFP and not without the authority of actually being able to purchase it.
So do you need the board to make a motion that says, I make a motion to, give Chris Savalda, authority to move forward in, for the purchase of a compactor?
I think that would work, and I mean, if you guys wanted to upon maybe final approval or something, once I get all the terms or something. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't really
You could do it contingent
Right.
on,
contingent on acceptable terms that the board would agree to, and then I could even communicate that during the process, so we're not, because the other thing is, so, perfect world, I get a great deal, I'm able to do some accounting magic and redo some of our payments. And at that point, we're only missing out on potential, revenue if we're gonna wait again and wait again, like, we're beyond waiting, and unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at.
Or a motion to, like, part of it is the, like, consolidating the debt to reduce our payments.
Or is that one of your thoughts?
That's just a brainstorming idea, like, I don't know how that would work, or if that's an option, another option would be to start selling off stuff.
That was my other question is, do
You
we
know,
have stuff we can?
I mean,
sell?
that's kind of, I kind of wanted to get this dialed in before I just start
Mhm.
panic selling, you know, everything, and then. But we definitely, I mean, that's something, and I brought it up, we've got 2 loaders that are outside of warranty that are just draining me out of Klondike. I would much rather have those payments go to something under warranty. That was one of the places I was thinking about putting a non-cat, and I have a cat and a non-cat there. I've got $50,000-$60,000 and we're gonna drop in that dozer. If I can get this happen quick enough, we can just park that dozer for a little bit and then not continually abuse it. So maybe it can still be there for when we do our final closure.
I feel like my brain is going back to the drawing board. There has to be another solution here. Do they have, it maybe you already looked at this and I'm just spinning my wheel. Like, there's another.
Well,
option.
there is, and I mean, this goes back, in fact, my lead operator would prefer I got a shredder and just bought a shredder up there and shredded all the material that came in. We'd still have to pull the concrete out, and so that would give us compaction rate because it would be smaller material, and then we could run it over with the dozer. And then we would have a dozer that is gonna have to have continual maintenance on it. And putting into a situation where it's not, doesn't have a waste package. So this is something that's gonna keep going. But the benefit with the shredder is that it would move down here, and that was one of the ways we were thinking we were gonna handle the incoming C&D once Moab closed. So I think ultimately the district's gonna have to purchase 2 types of both types of those machines. It's just kind of which comes first and which is gonna give us the better outcome immediately. And maybe, I mean, at one point, I was thinking even to have the board approve me with up to a certain amount of dollars. And then as I can kind of explore these other options, but it still gives me the authority so that I can go to the different banks and stuff. So that'd be something else that would be helpful if you guys just approved, you know, $1.4 million. Because the other thing is the shredder costs more money and it's gonna cost more money to run. That's something that you have to like pull offline every month and a hard phase, and you have to do maintenance. I mean, it's just like the metal baler out there. Those things are heavy maintenance. But to try to simplify things, I guess that's where I was leaning towards the compactor.
Do they not have like an attachment you can tow on? I don't know if you guys got a ripper, but like tow on that dozer, put the 50, 60, even call it $100,000 to fix that dozer. I still think we'd still be ahead if they have attachments. I don't know. I just came back from a trade show. They got everything out there nowadays.
And in fact, Tana, in this, so when they went up there, Tana makes a shredder that's competing with the Comtech shredders, which is, you know, I know it's kind of, is Cat the best, but I mean, they're a pretty name brand when it comes to construction shredding equipment. Yeah.
What? It seems like
and-
you're still exploring a lot of ideas from shredders to compactors to.
We're eventually gonna need, I mean, that's, until I can come up with a better idea and I've run this by multiple people, eventually we're gonna need both. The other thing with a shredder up there is we will also have to get some type of material handler up there, an excavator. So there was basically the shredder was more expensive. It's gonna have to have a peripheral piece of equipment and it's gonna have a higher maintenance. Although it probably will give us a better return on our, if we wanna look at the value of the cubic yards.
So eventually we need both. We get the one that makes most sense now and can get our biggest bang for our buck and hope we're in a better financial position when we have to buy the other unit.
Well, lots of security right there.
Well, so but you need approval from the board so that when you go to look at financing, you're able to do so because, that's what.
And there were request minutes from this meeting saying that the board, as otherwise they're not gonna waste their time,
So-
especially if we're going toward more traditional. I mean, I think this is enough money. I know we've done through finance companies with our trucks and stuff, and we had an immediate need. And, you know, and working with Nick, it wasn't, I mean, obviously it's always better to go towards there, but our need was greater than the little bit of savings that we was, few percentage points going through these finance companies. I think this is big enough that it would benefit us to go through a more traditional type of financing.
So I make a motion to, give our,
District manager?
district manager the authority to move forward with the purchase of a compactor.
I'd like to reword the motion that we give you authority to spend 1.2, 1.4 in the best solution. I'm sure you've spent hours and weeks of in my head, I'm like, there's gotta be a better solution, and maybe there is, and I just don't see what all you know, but I'd rather say you have this dollar amount, find us the best solution, come back to us.
And I
But-
think it's important to put a dollar amount in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this dollar amount, and then, yeah.
Probably the 1.4 if we wanna consider the shredder.
I will add to my motion that up to $1.4 million.
And changing compactor to a solution.
The best solution.
The best solution. That makes my stomach ache, but yeah,
No, I'm losing hair over this one.
so I repeat, I make a motion to give our district manager the authority to move forward with determining what the best purchase. If the best purchase is a shredder or a compactor, and to be able to spend up to $1.4 million to purchase one or the other.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
The other thing you mentioned is the advantage of the compactor is then it could go back up to Klondike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other nice thing about the
You did
compactor.
replace the piece up there. Or
So, cause the other thing to consider is that, so that really expensive warranty, we're 1 year into the 2-year warranty, so we only have another year warranty for the.
Okay.
And then the shredder wouldn't be of use up at Klondike or whatever.
It would be.
Use
it would
here.
Be use here in order to, so once Moab closes,
Oh, I see.
it could shred the incoming. Construction material and be able to make it more manageable so that it could haul it out to Klondike.
Got it.
Or go into our walk-in floors, depending on what type of material it is.
So that's why you said we'll need both eventually.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah, Chris, we know you'll do your due diligence and figure out.
and I mean,
Yeah.
once I have, the approval is kind of what I needed, but I'm more than happy to kind of keep everyone in the loop as this and get feedback as we go through. So it's not just one day, look what I bought, so yeah, everyone will kind of be up to speed too. And I mean, I welcome feedback. This is definitely a heavy and considering where we came from. Like we're in such a good place right now. We can actually pay attention to the real issues. We have an excellent team going on, Lily, Jessica, Savannah, the drivers. I mean, we're set up pretty good to really tackle some of the issues that need to be tackled coming into the next year. But this is, just a cloud of doom over. All of it.
Keep asking the hard questions, actually.
0.5 to $1 million savings over 5 years, so that's, we squeeze whatever we can out of Moab too, and I mean, it's still a compacted rate, when it goes to Klondike, you're still.
Well, it stays in place, but it just means, because what we really do here is we sell airspace. That means I can just shove more into that, so I can get more, better value out of my cubic yard up there. And obviously, and I wanted to make clear too, that isn't a check, because we still have to have those volumes coming in, so. There's still that, we have to wait for the cash flow to come in, but it's a potential, not just expanding that and then we end up with the same. We expand it, but we end up with a lot more money because we were able to get better value per cubic yard up there.
We're talking about buying another piece of equipment.
Yeah, all right, now that
Discussing purchase of a roll-off truck.
so,
Filter and QuickBooks by the memo, so I can get you how much we spent on each truck, each piece of equipment.
and yeah, and I mean, Lily was able to put together, and I'm very conscious. I also work with Nick too, and I mean, for all these things, I always try to run everything by Nick to make sure that I'm not missing everything, because he's the accountant.
Thanks, Nick.
I get all the fun. He just gets to crunch the numbers, but
Yeah.
that's an important part of the equation to success. Yeah, and I apologize, and there's another ask coming. So purchase of a roll-off truck. So with all this construction going on, with everything that's coming in as part of trying to divert as much as I can from the landfill. I'm not even gonna talk about our proprietary versus standardized systems. What I'm after is a really big roll-off that can haul a lot. This has to go with, some of the options that are coming up with our metal. If we can run metal over to Colorado, we want to be able to get as much in there as possible. There might be an option where instead of having them come pick up glass, we might be able to get a little bit coming out there. And it also gives us an option to throw a couple of big roll-offs here. If everything just doesn't work out, we have a piece of machinery that they would be able to just carry more material out to Klondike. And right now, that's a majority of our work right now is 30-yard roll-offs because of all these big construction projects.
So do you want 30 yards or bigger?
I'm looking at something that can hold a 40-yard container full. Now, the downside to this is that the cost to get something this big that can carry the weight and run legit through ports and stuff, we're almost moving into the territory of dump trucks, side dump. Which is something that would benefit us, obviously, in trying to move the materials down, but just given the fact that if worst case scenario happens, I have to close Moab landfill, we have a truck that we can lay some roll-offs in this yard and we can just start loading roll-offs as it comes in. I mean, there's no way that that's sustainable, but it would buy us some time to try to figure something out. Or if we're coming close to deadlines, it just gives us another option rather than our transfer trailers where we don't want to mess up the walking floors, that we can load material in and get them out to Klondike. So the reason I put this in there is it just ties in with everything that's coming. And given everything that we're talking about, so my ask would be So the number for the biggest, the brand new, and it's got push axles on it, so that it pushes my weight capacity up, was 240,000. And then on top of that, there would be kind of the peripherals that would like to buffer a little bit, so maybe 275 is what my ask is on that. And these are rough numbers of the kind of the top shelf. So my hopes is that you don't necessarily have to go top shelf, and perhaps we can find something. I'm really hesitant on trying to get something used that doesn't have a warranty, but I would be open to getting something used that would carry warranty or something, so we could drop that down.
Would that be a Mac or something?
It is, it's a Mac, 75,000 pound, cable winch system on it with a push axle, so I'm hoping to get upwards of, I can't remember, I think it was 35,000. I got so many numbers, I could be wrong, so I wouldn't say it, but.
So this will hold 40 cubic yards. If you went this side, I'm doing the comparison in my head because maybe I need to know all this stuff before, so I don't waste everybody's time and they're like, la, la, la. But the side dump,
It's about 24.
I'm trying to backtrack tons in the cubic yards and my brain is fried after 1.4 million, so. Would you go side dump and pup? That would take you a whole bunch more, then you'd need a tractor, so I'm just trying to, have you already done the math on this for me?
Yes, and that's where I was saying this actually gets to the point of trying to get something this big and new. It gets to the point where it might be more beneficial to just move into a kind of a heavy hauler, whether it was end dump and a pump or a side dump. It's just that the extra benefits of being able to drop containers in the yard in worst case scenario is why it's kind of difficult to make that jump. I mean, there's a scenario if we're crushing all that concrete where what my plan was to kind of go out for bid and get a bunch of third parties, because I think we could in-house it and probably the price difference would give us a side dump and we could just start hauling our own material down here. But obviously I'm not gonna bring up talking more equipment at this point.
I guess in my head, it's like, is it more beneficial for the future of what we're doing to go with this roll off, the bigger roll off, or head to a side dump? But then you need a tractor and another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, which we need.
Anyway.
Anyways,
next
we
month,
got.
my brain is full.
Well, and you'll see that on our next payment. We had a transmission go out on one of our tractors. There you go. But everything is good, so somehow. It's all a matter of perspective of where you came from. Like, we actually have options, and there's a time that we couldn't even be talking like this. There's honestly a time that we would just be like, okay, when are we closing Moab? What's the date? You know, September or December?
Yeah. And so this piece of equipment, just so I understand, it would let you have help with the roll-offs for construction projects to be able to get them to and from the sites, right?
That,
And then it would also be beneficial for hauling concrete from Moab landfill if we needed to. Do we just?
not so much there. Honestly, concrete is a really heavy material.
Okay, and then, but it would be beneficial when we close Moab, if we have to like be getting a bunch of material out of here.
It basically, it would be its own little mini transfer station.
Right.
It is what it would serve at, so that we would load that. People would just come dump. If we couldn't put it into the walking floor, we would pick up an area in the yard and we would set it up that's where people would dump, and then we would load it from the ground into the roll-off, load the roll-off and take it out to Klondike. So it'd be like a little mini transfer station inside the transfer station.
And with the construction stuff, is this gonna increase our revenue?
Well, that's kind of an interesting take. So if you look on our profit and loss, or actually, yeah, the profit and loss, for February and January, if you look at the amount of money that Moab is bringing in, that's not intra-company, am I looking at that right? Oh, that's
The third party revenue?
Yeah,
So it's just like, just under 61,000 for February?
Yeah, almost 61,000.
So that's revenue. So right now, we don't get any revenue from Klondike. It's all ran under intercompany. We keep it there for all kinds of reasons. We definitely need it there. But with Moab, that's actually a fresh cash flow. Like that's up above and beyond what our process that goes from curbside to landfill.
Right?
So if Moab closed down, you would have the assumption that that revenue then would switch to the transfer station.
Right.
Theoretically, that would happen, but you never know what's gonna happen when contractors, things get changed on them, so I don't think you can dollar to dollar. Is that what you were asking?
Well, and then too, if you were talking about, there's like a lot of construction debris happening now, are we gonna be able to like provide more?
Yeah, well, we would definitely be able to provide more service, and it would also actually help us manage what we have going on here. Where we have a whole bunch of glass that we need to get up to
Right,
Salt
that
Lake.
too.
We have, in fact, a positive note, we actually have our first load of aluminum tin batteries that are gonna go to the recycle. This is part of our like new recycling initiative, so we'll get like some revenue return coming in from our recycling efforts. But so like we've had talks with a metal company that wanted to come here. They actually even wanted to lease or buy a piece of our property and set up something there to get access to our scrap pile. If we had something where we could move that stuff ourselves over there, we get better rates because we're not, it's obviously an internal operational cost, but you get once you reach those kind of end markets, it's really the same thinking that we have with the recycling. The more middlemen you can cut out, the better pricing that you can get. So, because the plan is this is our last pile of metal. So if all the deals with all these different metal companies fall through, that would be something else, is I would just set some containers out there and the metal will go into those containers, and when they're full, we pick them up and we run them to get rid of this metal because we're so tight on space. I mean, this metal pile just grows so quick, and it's really a hazard out there besides being environmental concern when we talk about our division of water quality requirements.
So does this come with a roll-off container, or do you already have?
We already have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we would make sure, obviously, part of the qualifications before we got our team to make sure that it's everything, it's what we had, what we needed.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
Can we afford this? We'll just.
I'm putting it under the same stipulations. I won't pull the trigger until some of this stuff kind of comes out, but it's one of those things that, I guess, and I'm not sure, obviously, it's my first time being a board member, but I just, in dealing with these, so in the past, I've dealt with these people and usually I pass it off, but I need this authority to be able to go through, and maybe it's something that I tag on once we get financing for the compactor or shredder, like it's just a little bit extra that we tag on to the back, and then so the monthly payments, won't increase that much.
And what was the dollar amount?
275.
275.
Okay,
Motion to approve the purchase of a roll-off truck for the amount of up to $275,000.
Second.
all in favor? Those hands are going up slow.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do have one quick question, maybe for Mary or Colin. I don't know if either one of you know that, but we're definitely seeing an increase in construction revenues. Is there talk in the county and the city about even more construction happening, more?
I mean, these big projects are gonna be going on, they're multi-phase, and they're just getting started with their first phases, so a lot of these big apartment complexes and
What's going on in the
Our
world?
one West Creek and otherwise, and then the city has a big project that's gonna be starting up on King Creek. There's a lot coming down the pipe.
Just right behind here, there's another 116 homes going in.
Yeah, it's, so no, there's, yeah,
So yes, there is a lot more,
there's a lot more.
There's no end
There's
in
not gonna
sight
be any
yet.
relief.
not
Yeah.
for another several years.
Yep.
Okay, that's, cause that does ease me a little bit knowing that we'll be getting, you know, these
Yeah.
revenues.
Yeah, planning on it. I mean, yeah, having the equipment to be able to accommodate this stuff and being able to.
It would hopefully pay for
Yeah.
itself by being able to. That, okay.
Okay, moving on
Oh, yes, another one.
to the spring voucher program.
So I strategically put these things on here because they all tell a bigger story. Uh,
We need to pass the food around to wait. I'm sorry,
Do you want a break? I don't know how long we've been, and I apologize that.
2 hours. I apologize. I went to our closed time where it got really warm, so I turned the AC back on and cool it down.
You guys want snacks down there?
I would take some of those.
Up here in the rolling those lines down from me, I know.
I tried.
It's in the hot spot.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Hear it before.
Well, at least it won't be so warm.
Please.
Told you it might be a long one.
You're moving so well.
We were just clicking right along for a
Well,
while.
that was the strategic alignment of the agenda. Cause I figured if we started with some of these long ones,
Different than ours, that's why me and Mary.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going, where are we?
and we're talking about maybe trying to do that too in the future, is thinking about the discussion items and trying to put them in a manner that kind of flows a little bit better.
Like that, yeah.
A lot of this stuff was like, this started last month, so I'm trying to get, last month was supposed to be more of a prep month, and then this month was gonna be the ask, and so I had to do all at one time. So,
Now you're getting it all.
you guys are being punished for
We're
not
gonna take
making
us
it
out to
forward.
dinner last week.
Right, yeah.
Well,
I like that little emoji on your phone with the money just flying. I'm like,
Well, I like your expressions, Ashley, cause that's definitely, how I'm feeling on the inside. This is not things that we're doing so well, but it's, it's just a lot of this stuff is just a matter of time, and we're trying to prep for when we get called out on some of this stuff, and it's just,
Are these equipment prices inflated like everything else presently? I mean.
a little bit, but I've actually,
These things
I'm not
cost
sure.
2 years ago.
there is tariffs, add another couple $100,000 onto this. I actually, found this website out of it's the, local, Galveston, Texas. Has a co-op that is kind of like Sourcewell and Omni Partners, where like they do all the contracting and everything, so it's kind of a one-stop shop, so you don't have to bid. But a lot of their requirements is they have to be fully transparent with their pricing. So I was actually able to confirm pricing on the equipment that was being offered to me, that it was at a reduced government rate. It gives me the cost for the tariff versus the non-tariff. Like if we would have pulled the trigger on this last year, they're only applying tariffs onto the ones that were built, so like 2025s, we could have got pre-tariff. And it potentially could have dropped it below $1 million a little bit.
A spring voucher program.
So spring voucher program, pretty simple one. So the district has been doing this ever since I've worked there. We usually do it twice a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And we offer it to the community. And this leads into a topic that's kind of, it crosses my mind, maybe once a year. Because we're utilizing public funds to offer services to the community. the community was way easier to be defined when we were just a landfill, because everything kind of went to the landfill and everyone kind of had access to the landfill. So that definition of community was everyone within our jurisdiction, which was Grand County. Once we purchased Monument Waste, our service area went past our jurisdiction, and maybe jurisdiction is the wrong term, but don't you guys understand what I'm saying? So now we service beyond Grand County. And I've researched this. There's nothing to say that we can't, but what we have to be really careful of is they coin the term empire building. So if we're using public funds to expand our service area in efforts to build this bigger empire, that could be misappropriation of public funds. The way Nick has the accounting set up, where we are like all the different divisions, the intercompany, all that stuff is what we need to prove that we're not doing that. But our revenue now moved from the back end where we were getting paid to the front end, which we're getting our money in small pieces by the curb. So that's where our responsibility for those public funds start. So when we're offering the spring and fall vouchers, and I had every intent of trying to expand and do more with for the community. But are we misusing public? Who is the community we serve, I guess, is the bottom line. Or is it our paying customers? You know, now that we've kind of expanded and that area is kind of gray to who we service, or is it still the bigger area? And there's multiple scenarios that we kind of ran through where this could be an issue. And I think it needs to be defined. I don't think as a district manager that's my decision to kind of make to pick who we're going to serve. I think that's kind of a conflict in interest. I mean, I'll tell you, my personal belief is that we do service the whole community. But we have to be really careful on what we're putting money into, and if we're providing services to people because really the people that are paying are shouldering the burden for people that don't pay.
Sure. Boy, I mean, has that conversation ever gone to, and I know I have my personal biases to that program just being offered to where it's mandatory in the city and not.
Well, and that's kind of where that's why I started with this one. It is, if we're gonna offer this, maybe we only offer it to people that have accounts with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think
That makes sense.
I think that will do, will start a conversation, although, I mean, I still hold to the formula that we don't succeed by just being financially secure. We also succeed with getting community support. And this is gonna put a huge wedge into that, but I think it'll at least bring it to the forefront. Because one of the solutions to our problems is to have everyone in the county pay for trash service.
Absolutely.
That is such an increase of revenue. So in doing cost analysis and trying to put volumes and all this, we have about a 12% cushion in the volumes that we receive. We drop 12% in volumes, then it puts us into the danger area about making our payments. Optimally, we should be running closer to a 20% cushion in volumes versus our expenses going out versus revenues coming in.
Chris, I don't see it as strongly as you do as being a negative to sort of the community building image that we've done. I see it more as just another incentive to becoming a customer of ours. Yeah.
So we're offering our customers this vouchers.
Yep.
Period.
Just our customers or the whole community?
So I was using this as like a talking point because I think this is something that we kind of need to decide, not just over this particular thing, but when it comes to, you know, other things that we offer, as far as, you know, are we here to service the entire community? What is that area? I think that needs to be defined to reduce the risk of misappropriation of public funds. To attract, and like you said, I mean, I think that, you know, it could be an incentive to attract more customers. I even thought about, gosh, if you are if you do get curbside, maybe you get a 10% discount at the transfer station or a couple
Right.
bucks. I don't know. I mean, obviously another conversation for another time, but I think this needs to be discussed by the board and perhaps even brought in front of the county commission. Like, what do you expect? Because we get TRT fundings.
Yeah.
The last time I was in front of them, I acknowledged the fact that we service outside of Grand County, and I'm completely, okay with making sure that the funds we get from TRT stay within Grand County.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's, you know, even saying that, okay, now we're assuming that Grand County is the community we serve. And these are just, and there's like multiple scenarios, and I don't think it needs to be answered. In fact, that was gonna be kind of the topic of the next one, which is the Bay Board meeting, is that gives us time to kind of discuss this.
Yeah.
This is difficult when we're working on a strategic management plan, like if we're gonna try to get a path forward for success like that, those things needed to be defined. When you're, if you look at the district like a piece of machine, and that machine costs you money to run, you wanna make sure that you're optimizing the runtime, you're optimizing, you know, everything about that machine and what it's trying to accomplish. In order to maximize, you know, your output that you're getting.
Yeah.
Do we have like a report? I feel like when I did the spring voucher, one of the vouchers, I had to go on and fill out a form.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a report of how many people are actually customers that are using it versus not? Like, how many people would be upset if
We
we
can put that together.
Yeah, it would take a minute, but yeah,
Okay,
I could generate how many are non-resident versus, or excuse me, non-customer versus customer.
okay.
But how far,
Or just, you already have actually, I think
I've got-
more of what
tell
you're
me
asking
how-
is how many people actually utilize the service.
Well, who of the people that utilize the vouchers are actual customers versus just
Oh.
community members that are not being customers?
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, I can easily figure that out.
So
Obviously I
the,
can't do it right now, but
do we need to do a motion today? It's the,
Oh, no, this is
No,
just
yeah.
discussion.
Okay.
I was actually just gonna, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of have the authority to do this, something that we've done for forever.
Yeah.
I was just using this as an opportunity to talk about something bigger, cause we're, you know, this hasn't been long enough, so.
Yeah. I think this is a good conversation to have at that May board workshop, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about more about this.
Yeah, and that's part of something I know that, you know, we've been working on the strategic management plan. That's kind of the deadline I'm gonna start implementing internally for people to kind of do their portions, and I'm gonna start to delegate out and try to get this accomplished. But I think it kind of goes hand to hand, you know, as we start to get dialed into, okay, what's our directive? What's our mission statement here? Who do we serve? You know, as I go around and I'm spouting, you know, oh, it's not just finances, we have to serve the community, you know, what is the definition of that? And like I said, maybe even get input from the county.
Mhm.
I mean, the city's pretty easy to define because they just are mandatory, so it's all the city. I mean, they're easy to deal with.
Yeah.
Because of that contract, the ILA.
Okay, so what do we need to discuss about the May board workshop?
Dates, times, the only thing I was gonna add is I don't think it's necessary to do the tour. I know that was, and I appreciate, you know, you guys invested an entire day to go out there and do that. Everyone's kind of been there.
It was kind
I'm more than happy to take anyone out there, cause they change all the time. I mean, even for me, I get locked behind my desk and I go out there and
yeah,
where the hell's all the airspace?
yeah,
It's basically what I do, but, so this we could fit it into a half day, I think.
absolutely.
Like lunch provided.
Lunch, yeah, we'll do
Absolutely.
lunch.
Yep.
We'll have an agenda. We'll try to get like, it out there so that you guys can add things in there, you know, obviously it can be whatever you guys would want to throw on there as well
Yeah.
too, but I thought that would be kind of a theme. So between the strategic management plan and, you know, trying to define, you know, what our directive, who our community would be, and important to know as we move forward.
Chris and I had discussed that first week in May since the auditors would be here and there is a component of the audit that the board. They like to do that rundown. But. It's no longer February, it's now March, so we realized.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're missing a month. And we also were thinking we can time it because we usually try to tackle or rope Nick into coming here, so
Great.
maybe he might be able to be here for the workshop and stuff.
So when's the audit?
It'd be that first
May.
week in May, so it'd be the week of May 4th.
Okay.
May 10th is Mother's Day for y'all have moms and you know.
I like Thursdays or Fridays.
Yeah, and I can't do the 7th or 8th that week.
What about the week before, Thursday or Friday? 30th to the 1st.
Thank you. I don't have anything yet on those days.
I won't be here on the 1st, but it can happen without me.
I won't be here on the first either.
The 30th,
You're here.
will not.
Be here.
What if we did? I could probably do the 30th.
But Nick, though.
Okay.
Nick, can you do the 30th of April?
But will you be back here the
But-
following week, auditors?
You could just do the
He can
weekend,
do the-
because it would be like Monday.
I think
Tuesday,
so.
yeah.
I think I could do that.
Okay, so tentative workshop for in the morning, afternoon, morning.
Morning would be better. I need to get you to catch a flight that evening.
Okay,
Should we say like 9 to 1-ish?
so the April 30th, 9.
And I think the intent was maybe to like kind of have an annual workshop or.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
You know,
it's a great idea.
9 to what?
try to minimize the length of the board meetings throughout the year. We can get all the information jammed in there.
No.
That was a year
Good
ago
luck.
we did those tours.
Okay, is that all on, is that enough on that for now? Should we move on to
That
the,
was easier than usual.
Yeah, I mean, are we leaning, I guess I was just gonna add a little takeaway. Are we leaning to maybe just this time, just do it for customers and see how it works out?
that's where I'm leaning, yes.
Does anyone
Yeah.
violently oppose that? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it out, see what happens. So,
What kind of
there you go,
feedback
Jessica.
you
You don't even have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are on to the next ACB meeting scheduled for Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 4:30 PM.
The only thing about putting the workshop and, gonna have a board meeting and then a workshop just a couple of weeks after.
It's
Should we
okay.
look at canceling either the April or the May board meeting since the workshop would?
Yeah, unless something, I mean,
Well, that's what we did with the April meeting last year. We replaced it with
The
the
April.
workshop.
what if we like tentatively do it or, I just don't, I don't wanna commit to canceling the workshops. It was, we
Maybe
missed so
the-
much by not having a board meeting last month. And we got a lot of big
Well-
stuff coming up.
Yeah,
Well,
we can keep the April one on there with everything you got
And
going on.
maybe canceling the May one.
Yeah.
Sure.
which is what
See
we
how
did.
see how it's going.
I
We
mean,
used to never have them in July. Back in the day, I mean, that's back in the day.
Too hot for board meeting. I like
Yeah, I know, I even.
Okay, so do we have anything we need to discuss in a closed session?
sanity.
Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.